Zacks Rank Buys, stocks with a short-term buy or strong buy recommendation. Now, here are more Zacks Rank Buys. Let's see which way the momentum is swinging on a couple of other stocks that Michael Vodicka has to talk about with us. Mike is our momentum stock analyst at Zacks.com. One here that I don't know if I've ever heard of, Euronet Worldwide. EEFT is the ticker symbol. They're in the electronic payments service.
Yeah, that's
industry.
The electronic payments and services. I guess that's a little bit vague, but what they do is they develop these components that you use to swipe your card.
I was going to say, process credit card transactions?
Yeah, exactly, and that's very, I guess you could say, trendy because, you know, the consumer has definitely for a long time been moving away from actual currency paper transactions. So it's a very in vogue kind of business. For
now, they may be moving back to cash though sometime in the future.
Yeah, that could happen. They operate both domestically and internationally. So they have a good mix of business there. They've been around since 1994, so they've got a decent history, about 15 years, and a market cap of 1.7 billion, so they're a decent size. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I was saying before, it's definitely a playoff of the macro level trend where consumers are focusing more on electronic transactions. Their businesses remain strong throughout the last year. Their most recent quarterly results, third quarter, reported October 28th. Mm-hmm. Sales were down a little bit over year, only 5.7%, which is a pretty respectable performance in light of what some other companies are doing. But of course, they beat on earnings, 34 cents per share. It was 6 cents ahead of the Zacks consensus estimate, so that was a really nice beat. And then over the last year, they've beaten every single quarter by an average of 5 cents and 19%.
I think companies like this can also process debit transactions too from debit accounts. So yeah. You know, they make it on both sides of the...
They do. That gives them a little bit of flexibility. Companies like Visa and MasterCard are saying that a lot of their revenues are also coming from debit transactions. Yes. So that's a growing portion of their business.
Right.
What I was alluding to before, though, about their international business, with their recent quarter results, they said they saw really strong growth in India and Asia. So they're growing in these key emerging markets. That's going to help them on a longer-term basis. Mm-hmm. They did say they were hurt by the weak dollar a little bit, but you know, recently we've seen some strength in the dollar. Moving forward, what's going to happen on that front, you know, nobody really knows. That's kind of a wild card.
Right.
As it stands, it's trading at 18 times current year earnings, so that's in line with the market, mostly in line. The next year estimate is projecting 21% earnings growth, so that's a really nice growth projection right there. And then the last piece of the puzzle here, bring us to the chart.
Yep.
We saw shares bottom out in February, late February, at around 750, 775, and since then we've topped off at 25, and recently kind of trading in a little bit of a range, but we've seen some nice gains over the last 6 months.
All right, and then there's DeVry that you've written about recently. DV, the ticker symbol. They're in the private educational space. Now, you've written about them before.
We have talked about DeVry before, yes, we have. They come from a segment of the market which is private education providers that's been, you know, fairly hot over the last year and just the last couple of years in general. For the simple reason is that education has become so incredibly expensive going to a university, and then also lots of professionals want to kind of just build their, you know, secondary skills or get a specialization in some capacity. So those dynamics have definitely played into what's happening with DeVry. They also operate domestically and internationally, and they've been around since 1931, which kind of came as a surprise to me. So they have a long history. Market cap just a pinch under $4 billion, so this is a big company here too, a little bit bigger than I thought. I'm actually out of Oak Brook, Illinois, so it's a local company, right in a suburb of Chicago. But they recently reported first quarter results October 27th. One number that really jumped out at me is their revenue year over year was up 42%. And
that's big.
That's big. You know, out of all the companies I've looked at, or I look at on a daily basis, that's one of the biggest jumps in revenue I've seen year over year. So that's impressive. They're doing well. On the earnings side, 76 cents per share, 11 cents ahead of the Zacks consensus estimates. They had a nice beat. Their enrollment was up 15% year over year in the quarter to 20,500. So they have a nice enrollment increase there. Their balance sheet looks good. They've got cash of 340 billion, or I'm sorry, not billion.
Be careful where you put that decimal point.
340 million against 100 million in long-term debt, so their balance sheet looks good. Valuation is reasonable. It's trading at 17 times current year earnings, so that's in line with the market. And then moving on to the last piece, we have the chart. We saw shares bottom out in May, a little bit after the market, at around $38, and then since then we've topped off at 57. So again, a nice gain.
All right, do you own either of these two?
No, I don't.
All right, if you want to check out more momentum stock pick ideas that Mike has written about recently, or stock pick ideas in any of the other investing categories that we write about on Zacks.com, just go to our homepage and look over in the upper right-hand corner of the homepage. That's where all of those Zacks Rank Buy stock pick ideas are located. 4 new ones each business day for your consideration, one in each of the investing categories. With Mike Vodicka, I'm Terry Ruffalo.